Yo, what is going on, everyone in the crypto space? Hope you guys are having yourselves a fantastic Thursday. But today, aside from all of our regular content and the regular videos we put out, this is not going to be any news related to XRP and it's growing in the ecosystem and or a new bank signing on or anything along those lines. Today, I really want to go on a rant, and this is something that I've known about since the day I got into cryptocurrency, and is something that always caught my eye. Is very suspicious. And I do believe the downfall of this currency would result in a spike in the digital asset market value. I'm going to go ahead and I want to present all my information today, but mainly this is going to be more along the side of a rant. You're probably going to start to hear me talk very loud and get really into it, because this is something that genuinely pisses me off in the cryptocurrency market. And I don't understand why more people aren't mad about it. Like, for example, the Bitcoin community, they spend all this time hating on XRP, right? But at the same time, we have this other currency out here that is doing nothing but being an existing currency and don't plan to build any new ecosystem or build any new platform to bring on more cryptocurrency development and more cryptocurrency growth and more exposure to the space. They're not doing anything beneficial to the cryptocurrency market, but yet is taking about $8 billion per day worth of cryptocurrency. Now, you understand this isn't 100% just money going to Tether. This accounts for the actual trades that are happening on exchanges for the Tether currency. And the Tether currency, guys, does not provide any benefit to the crypto space and only provides benefit to real short-term traders in the market who are just trying to make a quick leveraged buck. That's just my opinion. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. The downfall of Tether would honestly be in the market's absolute best interest. Not only would it provide more money actually coming into the space, because instead of people taking these what looks like billions of dollars now and putting it into this currency instead of putting it into another digital asset, but at least into a digital asset where there's a team behind it trying to create growth for the industry itself, which is something that Tether does not do. And from day one, I have thought Tether was absolutely skeptical. Now, I was about to use the title, Tether is the ticking time bomb, but because that was from a video I watched a real while back from the Crypto Investor, someone I used to watch daily as being a beginner into just the crypto market as a whole. This was kind of like before I was 100% dedicated to XRP. I was watching the Crypto Investor, and he talked about Tether. And then when he talked about Tether, it is not as impactful as it is today. Back then, Tether didn't get too much volume. Now, it's getting volume by the masses, and this is a real problem because this is just a stable coin that's not providing any value, not building any new ecosystem for exposure or growth for the industry itself. All it's doing is sitting here and is taking volume away from the actual digital assets who are actually building real things for the ecosystem, or actually moving forward to take a step forward in this space. Let's go ahead and let's get into it on the latest news on Tether. Now, keep in mind, this is very bad for the market. Now, what you need to understand is that this is not a legit currency. Let me tell you this right now. This is like the furthest thing away from a legit crypto, like a legitimate operating company and a legit operating cryptocurrency. Now, something that really got my attention back in the day was January 27, 2018. Man, that was when cryptocurrency, I think, was starting to come down from its big all-time high, but we were still also excited because the prices were massively up there. But what happened was that the Tether, as you know, because what happened was a lot of Tether started coming into the market as the bull run came about. So the whole deal is that there's supposed to be $1 in reserve by this company that we know nothing about, and that will be kind of the backing for this currency. And as you can see here, it only had a market cap of 6.9 million, and it was still at the same exact valuation at $1. Now you can see here, as 2017 went on and as we started phasing into the bull run, they put a ton of Tether into the ecosystem, and I bet you they freaking caused, they probably made a lot of money, and some may argue that it actually caused, this was the real reason why Bitcoin was rallying so hard, is because so much Tether was being put into the ecosystem, into the market out of nowhere, and all of a sudden they have this like false sense of value that they were able to do whatever they wanted with. And that was a serious problem, because here's the thing. If there are 6.9 million market cap, then there should be $6.9 million in the Tether reserve. They should be having $6.9 million exactly, or this exact figure, in reserve, so that they would, be a valid stablecoin by backing it 1-to-1. Now, where it gets suspicious is that all of a sudden, all this Tether and the market cap went from 6.9 million to about 2.7 to almost $3 billion in market cap. So you're telling me in the span of several months, they have grown their reserves from 6.9 million to $2.8 billion. I don't quite buy that. I honestly do not quite buy that this actually happened, and I'm very suspicious of Tether being put into the ecosystem without a backing in the reserve. Now, we're on the topic of the reserve, right? Let's check this out. So first off, let me kind of bang this article real quick, and then I want to get into the next one, which really kind of proves my point. So this is something back in January 27, 2018 that really caught my suspicion, was that the Tether confirms that its relationship with auditor has been dissolved. And I forget what exactly happened, but I think it was some sort of, legal entity saying that, hey, they need to have an auditor to make sure their whole company's in check because people were suspicious about this company. And then all of a sudden, the relationship with the auditor has dissolved, and the auditor was removed from actually auditing what is behind Tether. Now, recently, just today, it comes out from the website that Tether says its USDT stablecoin may not be backed by fiat alone. Now, listen to what they previously said. Previously on the website, they said every Tether is always, keep in mind, always backed to one by traditional currency held in our reserves. US dollar. So 1 USDT is always equivalent to 1 US dollar. But they recently, without making any sort of announcement, changed it to every Tether is 100% backed by our reserves. So every Tether is always 100% backed by our reserves, which include traditional currency and cash equivalents, and from time to time may include other assets and receivables from loans made by Tether to third parties, which may include affiliated entities collectively reserves. But previously they were saying every Tether is backed 1 by traditional currency. So it was always $1 is 1 Tether. But now that seems to be a thing of the past, that now just 1 Tether is only proving that it's worth 1 Tether, because we don't even have the transparency on what these assets are that are backing Tether. And I'd be willing to guess there is not 2.8 billion, or what's the current market cap of Tether? Tether is currently at $2 billion. I'd bet all my XRP that they do not have $2 billion in reserves of any sort of asset, even though it's supposed to be by their actual terms of service, not terms of service, but by their actual, what they state about their transparent and trying to be transparent. They stated that it was always going to be a 1 to the US dollar. Now it's just by any sort of asset in their reserve, and that asset could be anything, and we're not even getting transparency on this asset. So as you can see, Tether is a complete fraud. My guess, it's a company and it's a coin that came into the ecosystem, and its only notion was to just be a money grab, and that was it. Because what they did, by establishing trust within their currency, back in the years, before the 2017 bull run, they were able to gain trust and were able to build an ecosystem of people actually leveraging Tether, most likely traders. But then all of a sudden, when prices spiked like crazy, they decided to create all this Tether and put it into the market, and we don't even have clarification whether or not there's real reserves behind that. Either whether or not there is reserves isn't even really the argument here. The argument here is that Tether is horrible for the cryptocurrency market, because we have all this money. This is just one day. We have all this money that could have went into other digital assets and into real projects that are trying to build and create something for the space. But instead, they come into this useless stablecoin that is essentially just a fiat currency, except it's not a legitimate fiat currency, and the reserves are completely false. And they've even said it themselves that it's no longer a 1 backed US dollar. So why the heck does it still have this $1 value? And why is it not being dumped? And why are people not taking this and actually investing their money into real projects in the ecosystem? Because Tether, guys, they're not trying to build anything. They're not building an ecosystem. They're not building a platform. They're not doing anything to support the market as a whole. All they're here to do is to just make cash and leave. That's what it is, in my opinion, because they gain people's trust, then they dumped a ton of Tether into the ecosystem, which we don't even know is truly backed by the reserves. And I really doubt that we have some random billionaire we've never heard of have just $2 billion sitting in US dollars, just waiting in reserves, just nice and sitting there nice and comfortably, waiting to just sit there and be a reserve for Tether. And I really doubt that that's the case, considering what they've updated in their terms of service and the auditor being absolutely excluded from auditing Tether. Now, again, my closing statement being, guys, we should honestly have some sort of movement against the Tether currency, because, again, see this $8 billion right here? Imagine if all of a sudden we had a whole movement of everybody getting rid of the Tether and ditching it because it's not providing any value to this market. Imagine this $8 billion in the 24-hour volume. Imagine this actually going to real projects who are building something. Imagine that $8 billion going into currencies that are actually trying to accomplish a goal and build something for the ecosystem that the masses can use. But no, it goes into essentially a fiat currency, which doesn't act anything like a cryptocurrency at all and is actually pretty positive to be complete fraud. So my saying is, guys, is I think we should be a little bit more vocal about Tether, and we should really be honestly advocating for its downfall, because it's clearly not providing any benefit to the market and is obviously being very suspicious behind the scenes in their reserves that they are not very transparent on. And by the way, you go to the Tether website, yeah, you don't see any faces or names. You don't really see much. It's a very hidden, closed off, shelled company where no information ever comes out and nothing is ever built for the ecosystem. It's just here to exist to take people's money in. Now, if we were somehow to let a government entity know that there's this Tether which is going on, which is very suspicious, if there was some, confirmed court, like national order to actually just completely get rid of this company and close down their operations, imagine all the money that's sitting in Tether right now that could actually be unleashed into real projects and real assets that are trying to do something for the ecosystem. And that's really my rant for today. It's just, instead of investing and instead of moving money into real assets and real projects who are trying to do something for the industry and provide value, no, it goes into something that the cryptocurrency market is trying to go against. The whole reason Bitcoin was created was to go against traditional financial system and to get away from fiat currency and stay away from fiat currencies. But yet the cryptocurrency market in itself is creating and just duplicating something with it's duplicating an asset with the same exact problem as a fiat currency. There's counterparty risk, there's transparency. It's essentially a centralized currency where there's one company behind it doing all operations, not being transparent, and they're taking a lot of money in the cryptocurrency market. And right now, there is probably, I imagine, billions of dollars sitting in Tether that could be going into other cryptocurrencies that are trying to do something and are trying to provide value to the ecosystem, but instead it goes into this scam. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm super passionate about this because I've hated Tether the day I found out about it. And again, look at this $8 billion in volume that could be going into Bitcoin, could be going into Ethereum, could be going into XRP and Litecoin, and projects that are really trying to do something. Whether or not we agree with what that project's trying to do, they're still trying to build something for the masses to use cryptocurrency for. So today we have $8 billion that flowed into Tether. And instead of going into other real digital assets, it's going into this false pretense of an actual currency. And this $8 billion flowed into this ecosystem like no problem. Instead, that $8 billion could have poured into the actual digital assets of this market, in the end, providing growth. Because in my opinion, guys, if we can really hop on this and really push this forward as a movement to get them out of this market, we could actually see, because what happens if breaking news comes out that Tether's being closed down? Everybody's going to sell their Tether and go into and purchase real digital assets. So if we have a flood of Tether, of the money in Tether, all of a sudden moving into Bitcoin, moving into Ethereum, moving into XRP, we could see actual value growth in this market because we have so much value tied up in Tether. If that was to be completely annihilated and moved into the rest of the market and distributed properly, we could actually see digital market growth by getting rid of what doesn't benefit us at all. It's truly brilliant, and I think this is a real movement we should get behind. So thank you guys so much for watching the video today. As always, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Really do want to read into your guys' insights on this. Make sure to smash the like, subscribe. Does help out the channel a ton. Check the links in the description if you want to support the channel. Get yourself a Ledger Nano S. But guys, this is really something we can get behind. We can actually be emailing government entities to actually investigate what's going on with Tether, because as crypto regulations are trying to come in, they want to make sure, I'd imagine, that every cryptocurrency kind of in the top 20 at least, or the top, the top dogs of the cryptocurrency market, should be investigated to see if they are legitimate or not. And if we could spread to government entities that this needs to be investigated and evaluated to see if they are a legitimate operation, and if they end up not to be, and we have a ton of people getting out of Tether, we'd have a bunch of new cash flow coming into the cryptocurrency market and could provide growth. Instead of money going into this freaking fiat stablecoin counterparty risk ticking time bomb. We could have it go into real digital assets and actually spark some growth for the industry because of all the cash that's tied up sitting in Tether. So I think that could be something we can get behind. I don't know what you guys would want to do in terms of a hashtag, just hashtag end Tether or a hashtag Tether the scam or something like that. Because honestly, guys, it doesn't provide any value to the market, and its downfall would do nothing but provide growth for the current cryptocurrency space and the real projects that are trying to build a real vision. Thank you so much for watching this video today, guys. I know it's a little different than usual, but this is just a rant I have to get off my head, and I gotta get it off my chest and let you guys know about it. And hopefully, you guys can repeat the same thing on social media platforms and kind of start a movement to get rid of this currency because it provides zero benefit, and its downfall this scam's downfall would actually end up in the cryptocurrency market's benefit in terms of value. So, thank you guys so much for tuning this video today. Really do appreciate it. I will see you guys in the next one.